Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining today. Uh, Today's webinar is titled Doubling Your Direct Bookings, How to Leverage the Power of Pricing Transparency. And I'm really excited to have Chris from Direct Booking Tools join us because they have an awesome product that can take all of the initiatives you're doing, whether it's email marketing, StayFi, SEO, search marketing, and boost the conversion rate on your website and make direct bookings even more appealing for your audience. And it does even more amazing things than just that. And of course, Chris will cover all the different awesome aspects of direct booking tools. But I'm just really excited to bring Chris here to show more ways of how you can build your own brand and become less dependent on the big OTAs, which is obviously the goal of all the companies in the space that we're in today. So super excited to have you here, Chris.
Thank you, Arthur. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So just the agenda today, we're just going to do a brief intro of StayFi and direct booking tools. Then Chris is going to do a really deep dive into the platform, the product. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about StayFi because I know we have some people here that are StayFi customers, but then we also have a lot of new people. So we'll also cover kind of a case study of how to implement email marketing and show kind of how to take it and make it a reality for your business, no matter kind of where you are in your journey of direct bookings. And at the end, we'll have time for a Q&A to answer really anything you want to ask about either product, direct booking in general, short-term rentals. We can cover pretty much any subject you'd like because Chris has a lot of experience also as an operator, which is awesome. Just a little background on StayFi is, we're really on a mission to help every short-term rental operator, whether you have one property or you manage thousands, to build a more vibrant, independent, and profitable brand at the end of the day. And we know you can achieve that by developing your own audience of loyal guests who come and book you direct again and again, rather than being continuously dependent on new guests coming through OTAs, where you obviously have a lot less control and power. And of course, you're also paying them a ton of money to acquire those guests. The primary way we help our customers develop this audience is through Wi-Fi marketing. And that means we help people collect not just the contact information for the booker, but we introduce your independent brand and collect information from every single person staying in your short-term rental property through a Wi-Fi splash page similar to what you've used at an airport or a coffee shop. And then not only do we help you collect data, we also centralize that data from other sources as well, whether it's property management software, your website, and bring it all into email and text marketing tools built specifically for the short-term rental industry. So not only can we help you collect data, we can also help you effectively market to every single person you've touched, whether they stayed in your property or have inquired on your website. And then Chris, I'll hand it over to you just to kind of give some background on yourself and direct booking tools.
Thank you, Arthur. Direct booking tools. We're empowering the vacation rental industry professionals to take back their and control their business. The OTAs should be partners in the business, but they shouldn't be controlling your business and your revenue. So we're helping drive that traffic back to your website and give people the convincing proposition to book directly with you. This lives on the PM's website. When they're on their site, on your site, they can see what the cost factors are between booking directly with you versus VRBO, Airbnb, and now Booking.com. So it really becomes the convincing proposition for them to stay on your site, believe in your pricing, believe in you. It increases brand awareness, brand loyalty, and customers for life. So it's having a great effect on the PMs that are using it.
Yep. So just kind of, we might have people here that are at all different levels of building their business. And I know I just spoke with some folks that have one listing that are launching a direct booking website for the first time. So we know we have people that have all different levels of experience. I just want to cover some of the big reasons why building your direct business is important. Some people find this obvious, but other people may not have actually thought about it that much, especially folks that you kind of grew up with Airbnb, where you built a quote unquote Airbnb business. And now you're looking at, how do I diversify my sources of demand and how do I build this loyal audience? So some of the issues obviously with OTAs are, you don't have much or any control over their algorithm. So which properties are they going to preference? It's can change over time. One year you could be at the top of the list, next year they might want to market other properties more, and you don't really have a lot of control or visibility into how they're making those decisions. Obviously, you're paying a commission for every single booking. Those commissions can be very high, 15% or more. And I don't think we would be surprised if, since in the United States, there's basically a duopoly of Vrbo and Airbnb, if those commissions were higher in the future, right? These are publicly traded companies who are beholden to their shareholders. And I don't think anyone else would be surprised if it was 18 or 20%, because we know in booking.com with hotels, those fees can be as high as 20 or 25%. Through OTAs, you don't have a lot of ability to market your brand. Chris is going to talk about some really awesome ways to give your brand some visibility in OTAs, but we know that at the end of the day, they want people to stay on their own platform, and they're going to probably implement more ways in the future to prevent people leaking out and finding your brand and booking directly. And then, of course, there's issues of arbitrary punishment. Guests complain, and obviously they're going to take the guest side. We know all of those problems. And I think importantly for StayFi, and something to keep in mind is when people book through OTAs, you don't really have the rights and often don't have access to their email or their information to remarket to. And you especially don't have any access to the non-booking guests. And for all of those reasons, I think it's important for all short-term rental operators, whether you have one property that you own and manage, or you're a property manager, to start thinking about ways of how you can build awareness around your own brand and drive more bookings to your own website. Chris, I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you. Well, Booking Direct, we all know as property managers, we have the best price in the market because ultimately distributing our properties to these OTAs, it's marketing and it's good for us. It's good as a client as a business owner to do that and have the brand exposure. But the OTAs, they have their fees and things that they add on to the booking, and the consumer unfortunately believes that the OTAs have the propensity to believe that the OTAs have the best price in the market. Well, we're just here to show them that they actually don't. And you can see in this particular example where the differences between a few hundred to it can even be a few $1,000s between the difference of Booking Direct versus the OTAs. So we built this product as a solution to bring awareness to the market. You think back 20, 25 years ago, most companies were doing mailers and things like that. They had almost 100% direct bookings because that's the only way you could book. We're here to bring some of that back to the property managers. We provide the website visitor with that convincing proposition to stay on the website and, of course, increase the trust and the sales on your website when they're there. Beyond that, on the back end of the product, we track that data. So every time, quote unquote, our product fires, if you will, every time there's a price quote generated, we actually report that back to you and show you what your forward booking demand looks like as well. So we give you what your market's looking for into the future as well. So it'll help you in your market. Here you can see where there's two versions of the product, one being mobile and the other being on a desktop, showing the differences between the displays. And these displays can be color coded. They can be the wording can be whatever you would like for it to be, the fonts and things, so it matches and looks very natural within your booking engine on your website. What we're finding, public perception, number one, the public, 82% of the public believes that the OTAs have the best price, even though they never mention anything about price in their marketing. And it's by intent that they don't mention price, but because they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year, perception is reality. So that's where the reality becomes that 82% of the people believe the OTAs have the best price. We have to explain to them and show them and prove to them that that is not the case. Customer, by doing this, you create more customer loyalty because you are showing people what the real prices are, and they understand what they're seeing, and so therefore they have a propensity to come back and visit with you. We're increasing conversion rates on the website because, again, when people visit these websites, your website, my own website, they don't believe what they see. People just don't trust people today in our world, and so we have to give them that convincing proposition to book directly with you, and therefore your conversion rates, the industry average is about 0.54%. We're seeing an average conversion rate of 1.2%, but yet we're seeing some property managers with up to 2.1% conversion rate, which is just astronomical. So through all this, you get improved marketing ROI, because now you're doing all this marketing with pay-per-click, social media, and all these things to get people to your website. Well, if they don't believe what you're selling when they get to your site and they bounce off and go look somewhere else, well, that's not a good thing. So we're giving that convincing proposition. So automatically your ROI and your marketing is going to go up because of that. You're going to also have increased ancillary revenue. Just travel insurance alone, the commissions off of having that product and selling that to your guest who should buy it. Quite frankly, I buy it everywhere I go. I have kids. You never know what's going to happen. You should buy, the traveler should be buying travel insurance. And as we know, as an industry, we make a little commission off of that. That adds up over time and can grow very quickly. The other interesting thing that we're finding, even with my own company, is that because there's such a pricing disparity between the OTAs and the book direct, again, it goes back to perception. Perception is reality, is that people are getting a discount by booking direct with you. So you don't have to necessarily offer these 10% off, 20% off discounts as much to the public. At least right off the bat, you can do away with that because they're seeing that they're already saving 10 to 20%. So you can stop the leakage, if you will, especially in this contracting economy that we're experiencing. So it's having multiple effects for the property manager. It's, again, increasing customer loyalty, the conversion rates go up, your marketing ROI increases, your ancillary revenue, and then you stop, the leakage on the discounting. So it's very, very strong, it's having a lot of positive impacts with the PMs that are using this product.
I'll just say one thing, and I think one reason the public has this perception is that in the hotel world, they have much stricter rules around pricing parity with hotels. So hotels can't really undercut OTAs. And in vacation rentals, we're blessed, let's say, that we're not in that model. So the reality and price discrepancy of just taking those OTA fees away is just possible, where in hotels it's not. So that's why, people need to see the difference, because in the hotel world, they would not be accustomed to seeing lower prices on the direct site versus the OTA.
That's correct. So again, this is a screenshot of the back end of the product. So every time a quote is given out to a website visitor. So the website visitor, when they're getting quotes, they're much more further down the booking journey, if you will, of the booking funnel. They're actually looking for an exact date for an exact property and getting an exact price. Every time that price happens, we then show our product, and every time our product shows, we show you the data on the back end of exactly what is happening on your website. This is not market stats. This is not worldwide stats. This is what the consumer on your website that you're marketing to, what are they looking for? So we'll give you, and it can be sliced into many, many different ways to pull this data out and really get the forward booking demand is what we call it. And I'm using it in my own scenario where I'm looking at what is my next season looking like, so I'm usually looking at like 3 months out, so I can see what the market's looking for, so I can adjust my minimum nights to what the to what the public's looking for. I can raise it, lower it. I can increase pricing. I can lower pricing to try to get the highest conversion rate prior to that 30-day window where you really start to discount things. You want to try to capture the bookings far in advance. And this is going to give you that data even a year out. No matter what's happening on your website, we can break it down to property level, by month, by unit, there's so many different ways. It could be homes versus villas. It could be city center. It could be even down to the complex level that people are looking at on your website. So in this information, your marketing, from a marketing standpoint, you can tell where you need to be focusing your marketing at any given time. From a revenue standpoint, you can focus on whether or not you need to raise or lower your minimum night stays. There's a lot of different ways that you can slice and dice this information to improve your revenue for your company. For prime example, how many companies do you out there expect people to check in on a Monday? It's a very odd day for check-ins, and because we track this, we can see how many quotes were given out for a Monday, and you can look and you say, well, all right, well, there was 300 people in the last 30 days looking for a Monday check-in. Well, we could run a 3-night stay, 4th night free special checking in on Monday, and you can target those people. There's just all sorts of different ways you can use this into understanding what is actually happening on your website, so that you can then turn around and use that data to increase your own revenue and conversion on your website. Additional part of this is all the additional things, sort of what we talked about. You can choose to raise prices in peak demand, lower prices in slower time periods. There might be things going on, and what I mean by that, obviously we all have highs and lows in our market as far as demand, but in your market, you might have a concert coming into town and you didn't realize it. Well, this is going to tell you where that peak, all of a sudden in an off-season time period, that peak's going to rise on your website, and you're going to be able to see it, and you'll be able to raise your prices because there's some event or something going on that's forcing that demand onto your site. Another thing is fluctuating the minimum night requirements. In the off season, you might have a 4-night requirement where your people on your website are looking for 3. Well, if it's 3 nights and that's what they're looking for, that's what you need to adjust to. You can't change the demand, but you can change the way your business principles react to that demand in order to increase your conversion rates. And then, we've also got, we can pinpoint market from where people are coming from. But we can also sort this down to the actual property level. You can look at one property and see what dates people were looking for. You can see how many times price quotes were given for a certain time frame. There's all sorts of ways that you can slice this information. The one last thing that we've got is we do have a pricing, we call it parity report, between what your price is versus your OTAs. And it's amazing how many times people come and join our product and they realize, oh, wow, I'm actually distributing my pricing to my OTAs lower than what I have on my own website. Therefore, they're not getting that many direct bookings to begin with, because people are shopping things. And so it gives you that information on the back end to show that, your pricing is either correct or not. And one little caveat here: if it's ever lower than your own price, it will not show on the forward-facing product on our product. We would never throw the property manager under the bus and say, go book direct, go book with Airbnb or VRBO. That will never happen. But so it's good information. We've helped a lot of people improve their pricing distribution across the markets and increase their conversion rates because of all this information that they're getting.
I really love that, because I've heard so many stories of, pricing is so complicated now, and people are using a pricing tool, and then they have a PMS, and then something is happening between those products and the OTA where maybe things aren't being transmitted as they expected. And this gives you the real-time validation of what's actually happening on those websites, and not just what you think you're pushing, right? Which there could be a delta that you don't realize some setting is amiss there.
Exactly. Yes. As a little case study, we've only been live for about 10 months, and we had a couple of beta testers. My own company one, but for a 30-unit company, this is what we've seen. We're starting to get the data back in from this past summer in our market to really put together some more case studies. But the industry average on conversion rate, and a lot of people don't think about this with their website, and I get it. Everybody's busy. Everybody has 1,001 things to do in their life being a property manager. And it's no doubt about it. There's so many moving parts in this industry, and it's a great industry. And everybody that's in this industry typically comes from the hospitality background. They love entertaining people. They love making people happy. And so when you really get down to the numbers, a lot of time the numbers get overlooked, or they unthought of or unrealized in their own mind. So conversion rate, how many people had to come to your website for you to get one booking? Okay, that's what a conversion rate is. And so the industry average, interesting enough, is 0.52%. In this particular case, it was 0.32% prior to putting the product on the website. And then after putting the product on the website, it's 1.2%. So we went from needing 300 people on our website to needing less than 100, more like 80 people on a website at any given time to make a reservation. That is a huge number. I mean, you're just talking about the volume difference in driving those people to your website, the marketing that you do, the pay-per-click ads, the social media, everything you do to drive these people to your website. If they don't have that convincing proposition on your website, they're not going to book. And, or they're just going to look, and they're going to keep looking. And when you have this product on there, it is increasing your conversion rate. And when you're increasing your conversion rate, your direct bookings are obviously going to go up. I've been in business for 15 years, had a 23% direct booking mix, didn't really focus a whole lot on it. My family run business, they were running a lot of the things. And just by putting this product on my own website, it went to 59% because people saw they had the best price. They had that convincing proposition to make that buying decision with me as a property manager. Okay. Direct bookings obviously went, from 197 to 505, and then ancillary revenue. That's from travel insurance sales. We all make commission off of travel insurance. It's a wonderful thing, but people should be buying travel insurance. And when they book directly with you, they're going to buy the travel insurance versus the OTAs. There's no doubt about it. The OTAs are capturing that revenue and taking that out of your pocket. And so you should be making that money, and by driving more direct bookings, that's what you're going to get. Other things regarding that is, by having more people booking on your website, you're going to increase your Google reviews. That makes you more valid in the market. Okay. People read reviews. They trust, especially the Google reviews. You're going to get a higher SEO value because you're actually converting more bookings on your own website, because Google looks at it as a buying transaction. As long as the consumer is transacting on a website, that is a win for the consumer, and Google likes that. But then there's all the other ancillary things, such as controlling communication with the guest, meeting the guest expectations, controlling the refund policies, and on and on and on. We all know how direct bookings are just a much better booking than OTA bookings. Excuse me. Go to the next slide, actually, because the next slide basically says what this slide says. Okay, so OTA listing optimization pro tips. All right, so you want to optimize so that you get the bang out of the buck. I'm not here to throw any OTA under the bus. We need them. They're great. They're great to have, but they're billboards, and they should be used as billboards, and they should be used as partners, not as the actual driver of your train. So, a lot of tips and tricks for people to increase their billboard effect on the OTAs is making sure that the property name is the same on the OTAs as it is on on your own website. The description, including, if you can, the company name and destination. The host description should definitely be your company name. Okay. Seeing a lot of PMs that say, well, hosted by John. Well, nobody knows who John is, but if it's, John that has luxury beach rentals, then they know who John is now because they can find luxury beach rentals. Make sure your logo's there, and you can watermark your logo on your TVs, because it's a part of the photography, and it can be subset into your TV so that your information is there. Make sure your host name is your company name, and your host logo is your company logo. Make sure that your property images are set up so that the main images are exactly the same on your website. So if somebody happens to Google the image, find this image online, it'll come up. But at least, and it's also just a relevance thing. So when they go to find 123 Main Street and it's on VRBO or Airbnb, and it has a picture of the front of the house, but yet they go to your website and it's got a picture of the living room, well, they don't know if it's the same house or not. So make those the same. And focus on getting more Google reviews from your guests. It's huge importance to bringing that trust to your brand, especially for smaller companies. So only 2% of companies have fully optimized listings on the OTAs. 2%. So we could all do a lot better job at that, and that's something you should focus on. So here's a cool thing. And we didn't really realize this, and it happened this past spring, is that we started using the product in our email marketing. And we just took a screenshot, threw it in with our what happened to be our July 4th promotion this year. And in the first 6 months of this year compared to last year, we did 11 bookings last year and 94 this year to essentially the same clientele. Of course, year over year, we collected more email addresses, and Arthur can certainly help you gather a lot more of those. But it helped to bring that convincing proposition to the client when they saw in the email what the differences were. And these are already people that have stayed with you. So once they click on your ad from there, you've got them, because the product will display on the website, and just the conversion rate on your own website is just going to go through the roof using the product in this type of scenario.
Before we jump over into some of the StayFi stuff, I did want to ask kind of what is the implementation process like for these tools, and kind of, is there certain property management software? Is there certain website types? Like how does that work?
We work on 98% of the websites out there. And there's one group that we don't work with, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but it's the way they generate their quotes that we can't work with them. As long as the website generates a arrival date, departure date, and a total price, then we can work with them. And the lift on the front end is very, very simple. We need 2 pieces of information. Takes the property manager 10 minutes to get us the information that we need. We build the product, send it back, and then we send them 2 lines of script that goes on the footer of their website. So it's all in. It's 15, 20 minutes of the property manager's time involved in it. It's up and running. It's instantaneous, and you're good to go. So the beauty of it is it's not hard to do. It's very, very efficient and low time consuming, which everybody's so busy. Nobody needs a big project to get something involved today. So we built it that way.
And then if somebody wants to get started, like who should they reach out to? Should they go to their website? Kind of what does that process look like?
directbookingtools.com. Sign up there. Even sign up for a free trial. I mean, the webinar or the seminar that we can give you, the overview that we can give you directly. We can even show you the product working on your website remotely. And it takes about 20, 25 minutes to go through that. And then again, another 10, 15 minutes, and we'll have you up and running as far as your time involved in it. But directbookingtools.com, and we're happy to help.
And then what's your own property management website in case somebody wants to go see it live?
LuxuryRentalsofHiltonHead.com. Yeah.
Yeah. So also, if you're looking to plan a trip to Hilton Head, that's definitely the place you should be going with.
We've got a few places you can stay, and the name is pretty synonymous with the products that we have, and we're a very small boutique company and intend to stay that way. We could have 300 properties. We don't want 300 properties, but so it's we like being a boutique operator.
And then just curious, do you get any reaction or any benefit you see on the owners? Have they noticed a difference by driving more direct bookings, and kind of like how you leverage it on that side of, growing your business, or at least keeping your happy owners, pleased with your management company?
Yeah, absolutely. Owners love it when they get repeat business, and our repeat business has gone up by 30% by introducing this product. And they love the fact that, of course, when they book direct, you have the ability to say yes or no to clients without penalty. And so we don't do a lot of weddings and golf type outings in our properties, because we don't like group events because of the quality of products that we offer. So people like it from an asset management standpoint. We're able to tell them on the back end, hey, Chris, what's going on with this property? For this time, what's happening? We can download the data analytics and show them how much traffic we're driving to their property and how much it's being quoted and how many reservations they're getting. We can also use that conversely to the knuckleheads who's still stuck into last year's rates and say, hey, Mr. Jones, I'm sorry. We've gotten, 300 price quotes in the last 30 days. We've told you need to bring that down a little bit because the market has shifted. The market has moved a little bit. You've got to get realistic. We're not saying that you're not going to discount, but you've got to get your pricing with the market and stay with the market. And, in this, we are able to give them the actual data to show them that. Conversely, we've had at times, and we just had a guy call me up last week. He's like, hey, you've got this house on the market. We're thinking about listing our house. We'd like to interview you as a company. What are you doing for this house? We can download our data from our dashboard for that property or for that section of properties that happen to be in a particular neighborhood. We download all our data from the activity that we've had on our website and show them that we're driving this much traffic to our website. This is how many bookings we've done in the last 12 months in this area. So it becomes a lead capture or a marketing capture tool as well for increasing your inventory.
Yeah, now I'm just going to transition, talk a little bit about StayFi, which I feel like a lot of people are familiar with or users, so I'll just cover it pretty briefly here. But obviously, if you're using a tool like this or you have a direct booking website, the question is, how are you going to drive traffic to it so you can get those bookings? And at StayFi, we really believe the best audience to go after are people that have stayed in your properties before and love the experience. And that includes not just the booker, but the entire guest party. So central to StayFi is we provide a Wi-Fi tool where every guest has to log into the internet or through a captive portal that obviously has your branding on it in order to access the Wi-Fi. And that way we capture data that we validate not just from the booker, but all 12 people that are staying at a property, let's say. And of course, we also send all those guests to then your website or a digital guidebook after logging in. So again, they can see something like these tools where make it very clear the value proposition for booking their next stay directly. Within StayFi, we also have our own email and text marketing tools where you can set up automations so that everybody who logs into the Wi-Fi will receive an email or a text or whatever you'd like them to receive, and then even messages spaced over a series of time to market your brand directly to them so that even if they booked on an OTA and came as an Airbnb guest, they're going to leave as your loyal brand guest. And then we also have some very cool Wi-Fi tools. That includes occupancy alerting, outage alerting, so you can know if there's too many guests in a property or if the internet is ever out and make sure that it's online for the next day. So marketing, definitely the core of what StayFi does, but I don't like to miss out on mentioning the Wi-Fi operation side if that's something that, is a concern in your area. When it comes to these splash pages, they're super customizable. So you can have different splash pages for different properties, or you can have one splash page for all properties. It's what every guest will see when they log into the Wi-Fi, and we can collect not just name, email, phone number, but birth date or other fields. We validate that emails are real, and then within our own email marketing tool, we don't just bring in this data. We also connect to, over 20 different property management software where we'll also validate and import all the data you've ever historically collected or will collect in that property management software. That way, all the data from website, PMS, from the Wi-Fi is being consolidated in one CRM and email marketing tool. So it makes it super easy to create those campaigns that will then send guests back to your website. And so we make sure everybody, whether they booked on Airbnb or Vrbo, leaves knowing the value of booking directly again with you in the future. I talked a little about the email campaigns, and I'm actually going to show you some examples, so I'll skip this for now. These are the property management software that we integrate with today. What's nice is if you just want to start with email marketing in StayFi and want to hold off on, let's say, implementing Wi-Fi, you can sign up for StayFi, connect your PMS, and just start with the data you've already collected. So we'll go through your PMS, we'll screen out all the fake proxy emails, we'll validate everything with a tool called Zero Bounce, and that way you'll have a fresh list of just real emails in our tool. And then we'll also import a lot of other data associated with that guest, like where they stayed, the last booking date, the next booking date. So it's truly a complete profile of that guest in our email marketing tool, so you can do all sorts of advanced segmentation. Also, if you use another email marketing tool like MailChimp and you're very happy with that, and you just want to send the data we collect via Wi-Fi to the tool you already love, we also connect with a ton of third-party tools. So you're not trapped in our email marketing tool if you do like using a different one. Some quick case studies of folks that have used StayFi and the success they've seen. Cozy Vacation Rentals in Texas started at 0 direct bookings, completely Airbnb and VRBO. And after a year and a half, they're now generating 30% of their bookings directly, mostly through email marketing and repeat guests. And then other customers like Cottage Stays started very strongly at 70+% book direct in their high season, and now they're over 100% because they've grown their audience so much faster. So we've seen folks really move the needle by cultivating those brand loyalists who before were booking on an OTA and thought they were staying at a quote unquote Airbnb, right? Which is what we want to avoid. Now I'm just going to show you some examples of, best practices when it comes to email marketing to give you a sense of if you haven't done email marketing before, what are some great ways to get started and how to approach it. And this is all based on a company in Michigan called Juniper Vacation Rentals. When we talk about email marketing, the first thing we recommend people set up are automations. So that means basically an automation can be triggered by all sorts of things, but essentially you get an email and then you trigger a series of automated emails that go out over a series of time. That way, when you're starting to build your email marketing list, you can build emails one time and know that everyone will receive those emails. And then as your email list gets larger, you then can start layering in monthly or weekly campaigns, right? So automations are a great way to get started where the lift is a lot lower and you know that everybody will get enrolled in your content. So in the case of Juniper, they collect emails three ways. One is through a web form that they've also created through StayFi, through our email tool that plugs into their website. They collect it through Track, which is their PMS. And then, of course, they're collecting a ton of data or the most data through StayFi, which is the Wi-Fi login at their property. Each of these collection points triggers a different automation so that when you log into the Wi-Fi at the property, let's say you get a very specific email that tells the guest about that property, services that they provide, and then, of course, how to book direct, and, of course, the value of booking direct in the future. Then once Juniper collected, around 1,000 or 2,000 emails, that's when they started producing a monthly newsletter because at that point it made sense to invest in creating this additional content to drive more bookings. Setting up forms on your website is super easy. I know it can seem a little intimidating, just like the direct booking tools code. When you want to, let's say, drop in a pop-up on your website to collect an email, similarly through StayFi, you'll generate a snippet of code and you'll drop that into the header of your website. Then depending on kind of who built your website, there's different ways to embed forms on that website. So you can also have these forms on the side or on the bottom where you're collecting emails, and whoever built your website or if you did it yourself, there are instructions on how to add that as well. And that's a great way that if you are spending money on search marketing or social media marketing, you're paying to drive folks to your website. And even if they're not in market to book at that moment, you can capture their email and then you have another avenue to market to them in the future. This is kind of like what the form email looks like. So somebody fills out a form on this website. This is the email that gets triggered automatically. And I think the thing to remember is based on where you're collecting emails, you could have very different audiences. When it comes to the website, it could be someone who's looking to book, or it could be a homeowner interested in property management. So you'll see here that this email is actually oriented towards both audiences with some information on how to book the properties, but then a bigger section at the end on how to, or like what their kind of features as a property manager are, because they're talking to both audiences in this email. And then when it comes to StayFi, I'll just mention briefly how you get set up with StayFi. To use StayFi, we're a Wi-Fi tool. So that means, the way it works is we sell you this device called an access point that plugs into your existing router. This access point will broadcast a guest network in your property, which is what guests use to join and get this splash page, which then you can customize. And you can see here from Juniper, this is what their splash page looks like. It's very simple. And on the bottom left here, Juniper can log in and see the status of the Wi-Fi and all their properties, as well as getting outage alerts, as well as occupancy alerts if there's ever any issues in the property. And what's also nice is if you have a lot of different Wi-Fi networks and different properties, you can keep those running, but the network that the guests will join to get the splash page is the same in all the properties with StayFi. So in this case, they tell every guest to join Juniper Holiday and Home Guest. They'll get the splash page, get online, and you'll have their information, and they'll also be sent off to your website after logging in so they can see, why booking direct is a better choice for their next stay and what all the other properties you manage are. Because a lot of people that book through OTAs may not even know you're a management company, right? And so you're kind of educating them on who you are and what your role is in this industry. When someone logs into the Wi-Fi, this is the email that Juniper is triggering through StayFi. So you can see here, this is much more positioned around welcoming someone to the property. And key here is just like how Chris mentioned, insurance is a great upsell prior to stay. Juniper is very focused on upsells during the stay, which are super profitable for them. So they really feature in this email the different concierge services they offer, because most people are logging in on the first day. They'll get this email, and maybe you told the booker in advance about these services, but the other people in the property had no idea. And so now you're getting the ability to market these additional services to the entire reservation and all the adults that are staying there. And then, of course, talking at the end about booking the next day, as hopefully they're having such a great time, they're already thinking about, oh, I want to return to Michigan to these vacation rentals. How and why? How do I book again directly? And you're really pushing that again so they can see all the other properties you manage as well. And then when it comes to a monthly newsletter, this is where you can really start marketing to multiple audiences. So in here again, they still are sending one newsletter to prospective homeowners and prospective guests. So it's still all kind of combined into one monthly newsletter, which includes property management services, properties, which again, your current homeowners will love to see their properties being featured. And at the end, again, those other services that you can book in advance or during your stay. Then finally, I'll just talk a little bit about measuring email marketing, because that comes up a lot. And I think, like Chris mentioned, sometimes people in this industry love hospitality, but maybe when it comes to some of the numbers or analytics, you're not as comfortable. And I think Google Analytics is a great tool that is not too difficult to learn if you're not already familiar with it. So definitely worth investing some time in just to get a better sense of how your website is performing and where the sources of bookings are coming from. And the nice thing is when we send emails through StayFi, we already add these tags that tell Google Analytics that it was email traffic, right? And the key thing to ask for from your website company, whether you use a white labeled PMS website or you had IC&D Realtek Boostly develop you a website, is that you have e-commerce tracking enabled. E-commerce tracking will allow you to tie the source of the booking to the actual transaction. So you can see here, they have Google CPC, Google Organic, email, and direct. So directs to someone putting in the URL. And you can see that it says under email that there were 7 bookings. The one thing to note is this is all last click analytics. So the last link they clicked on was from an email and then they made the booking, right? And we know that people like to shop around, that it's not always the last click that is the most important one. And so in the bottom left here, there's this other tool where in Google Analytics, they'll show you every booking where email was a part of the guest's journey or the booker's journey, but wasn't the last click. So you can see some examples here where someone clicked on an email twice, then came to the website directly 3 times, and then made a $12,000 booking. So it's important to remember that while last click is nice, it's not the whole story because people are going to different websites using different devices. And so email will provide the ability to consistently get your brand in front of a guest or a potential booker so that when they do want to make a booking, they may be coming to your website directly, even though they wouldn't have remembered your website if you hadn't been emailing them every month, let's say. So email is a way just to build that general brand awareness as well, so that when they do make a booking, they're coming directly to your website or Googling your brand name. Now coming to the end here, we have 2 coupon codes that you can use with StayFi. It should be 50% off StayFi service for 3 months. I apologize for the typo there when you use code DIRECT on our website. So StayFi, there's no contracts, no minimums. It's self-service. Of course, we're there to help you. So you can go to stayfi.com, create an account, and get started, right? So you don't have to talk to us, book a demo. You can just get started and import your emails from your PMS and send an email today, right? It's that simple. And you can use the code DIRECT to get 50% off. And then I'll let Chris talk a little bit about how to use this particular code.
Thank you. Yeah, our standard is 30 days free. We always want people to take a test drive and really get the feel for how much our product is having an impact on their direct bookings. So we typically give a 30-day free trial with this Book Direct 45. You'll get 45 days free, and we'd love to have you. And put you on a trial and you can take a look at it. We're sure you're going to be happy with the product for sure.
And I already have some questions for you, Chris, so I'll just ask you as we go through them. And then if you want to ask your question, just add it to the Q&A and click that button and we'll get to it. So the first is, are the OTA prices shown total prices that include all fees charged?
They're out the door pricing. So it's your pricing out the door versus the OTAs, including all taxes, fees, and the booking fees that they charge on the platform. Yeah.
And then for the next question, someone asked a question about travel insurance and they're kind of curious, is this through your PMS, through yourself? Kind of like, how did you get set up to offer travel insurance?
Well, there's several travel insurance companies out there. We use Red Sky, and you contract with them. They are the insurer of the travel. I'm not going to get into travel insurance myself, and they do a very good job at it. And travel insurance in the industry, you can't force travel insurance. You always do it as an opt-in on the checkout page. They can opt in for it at the time of booking, or they can pay for it all the way up until the time of their final booking. They can pay for it anytime up to then. Once they make it their final booking, then travel insurance, or at least Red Sky doesn't sell them travel insurance beyond that. But we do a lot of marketing around that to ensure that people are aware that they can buy the travel insurance. Certainly in the fall time, starting in July, we live in a hurricane centric area. It becomes very prevalent in the fall. And, we try to tell people that, look, we're under contract between you and I, the consumer, and I'm under contract with myself and the homeowner. I don't own these properties. So if something goes awry and you need to cancel, this is our cancellation policy and I can't help you. I'm giving you the opportunity now to buy that travel insurance. And a lot of people do buy it because they're smart, and they take up on that. And when they do, depending on what company you work for, you get a percentage of that price of that total travel insurance fee. Another interesting thing is if you do a lot of Canadian travelers, since they're under a socialized medical coverage, when they travel to the States, they're not covered under any insurance. So they'll buy travel insurance for the medical coverage. So you can sell travel insurance year round. It's not just based on hurricanes. It could be on that scenario, but also, if anybody's, say you're traveling, with a party of 16 and one person gets sick and you have to cancel the reservation. According to the travel insurance, don't take my word on it. You need to talk to them. Any travel insurance that's bought, it'll cover the reservation. So it comes into play a lot, and it really should be encouraged for people to buy travel insurance.
And also another question, can you just remind everyone your website so they can go look at your property management website, that is?
Sure, it's luxuryrentalsofhiltonhead.com. Yeah, luxuryrentalsofhiltonhead.com.
Someone wants to know how many people are or how many companies are using the direct booking tools pricing comparison tool. If you want to share it.
No, that's fine. We're up over 70 companies. We've only been selling for about 10 months. We've got over 70 companies in 10 different countries. We've got the product built so that it will automatically convert to whatever denomination that is searching. So it'll know where the IP address is and what the currency should be. So it's pretty robust. We've done a lot of development on the product, and now we're in 10 countries with it. So we're excited about it.
Someone asked about the website for direct booking tools, which you can actually see here on this slide, which is directbookingtools.com.
There you go.
Someone wanted to know, are you going to exhibit at VRMA? StayFi will be exhibiting at VRMA. I believe you're exhibiting at VRMA as well.
We will. Yeah, we'll be there.
Yep. Someone asked if we'll be sending a recording. Yes, we will publish this on our YouTube channel and then we will send it out. So it'll be available for everybody. And then someone wanted to know, can people buy travel insurance the day before check-in? I'm pretty sure there's different rules for different travel insurance, right?
Right. Well, the policy that we use, it's whenever your final payment is collected is the last day you as can buy it. Now, what else is out there freely on the market for people to buy is up to them. But for travel insurance that we sell through Red Sky is upon final payment, you can no longer buy travel insurance. So I highly doubt anybody's going to be able to buy travel insurance a day before arrival because that sounds fishy to anybody, right?
Yeah.
Now, if it happened to be a booking 3-5 days out, And they could buy travel insurance at the time of booking. I believe so. Yes. But again, we don't sell the product. We just offer it, and they're the merchant of record on the travel insurance. So we don't get involved in policies and what you can and can't do and what it covers and doesn't cover, because we all know insurance has its loopholes and things. I mean, Red Sky has a good product, but some people will come up with some various scenarios that simply don't fit it, and they know their product, and I don't get involved into the actual coverages for sure.
Yeah, someone asked about that again, and I just think to reiterate, like you resell basically Red Sky's policies, but it's nothing directly related to direct booking tools. It's just the one vendor that you're partnered with.
Exactly. And you can make pretty good money off of it. I think we make 40% commission off of the sales. So it adds up. And you're helping your client with a service that they really should be buying, especially, I mean, I've got young kids. You never know when a kid's gonna, get sick or break a leg or break an arm or whatever. There's a lot of reasons why you should consider buying travel insurance. That's for sure.
Someone else wanted to know, what property management software do you use for luxury rentals of Hilton Head?
I use Barefoot.
Barefoot.
Yeah.
And then where on like in the booking journey does the widget show? Is it just on the property page?
Anytime there's a date range and a property selected. So yeah, it's just like, people are looking to book, 123 Street. Once they get a 123 Street and put April, 11th through the 15th in there, you as a property manager are giving them a quote for that date range. Anytime there's a quote generated, we will then fire. So as long as there's a date range on a property page, that's where it shows up. So it is on the actual property page.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, and then someone asks, can you integrate this with ICND? So I don't know if
ICND is a great partner. They're a great company. Yes, they've got beautiful websites. Yes, like I said, we're 98% ability to deliver on almost all websites for sure. So yeah, we can do that.
Awesome. That is all the questions, and it seems like we're wrapping up at around 3:55, so pretty much hit an hour. Anything else you wanted to share, Chris, or you think we are good for today?
No, Arthur, I appreciate the time and the opportunity. We're excited about the product, and we really are excited about the effects that we're having with property managers and giving them their ground back, because that's exactly what a lot of them are doing. They're scratching back to where they should be as far as controlling their own destiny with their own business. And again, using OTAs for billboard effects and driving traffic is a smart thing to do, but being beholden to them is not a smart thing to do because of their various things that they can do as far as changing what they're demanding that you do or not do, and who they side with in certain situations as far as keeping your money or giving discounts and things. So we're excited. It's a great product. We're humbled by the reaction or the reception that we've gotten, and we look forward to helping a lot more people out.
I mean, I love it because if somebody uses StayFi and is doing email marketing and they can triple the conversion rate on their website, that means StayFi is now worth 3 times as much for them. So definitely encourage, if you are a StayFi user, to look into direct booking tools because the products work so synergistically well together. And then obviously, if you have any questions, I'm sure you can reach out to Chris and his team on their website, or if you have questions about StayFi or want a demo, you can book one on our website as well. And with that, we'll wrap it up for today. And then if there's any part you want to review, this will be posted on our YouTube in a few days, and we'll send it out in our newsletter. So if there's any part you want to watch again, that will be available in a few days. So thanks everyone for attending, and look forward to seeing you in person in Verma, and hopefully meeting some of I know some people who attended here will be there, so that'll be awesome to meet some people live in person.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you, Arthur.
Thank you so much.
All right.